This is ABTV, Animal Bites Television.
So guys, I'm at the Tinley Park NARBC show and I'm at JD Constrictions, and this is a snake that has been blowing up the internet for a while now. It's called the Stormtrooper. This is a ball python and it's like no other ball python in the world. And we have no idea really about the genetics about it, but I know one thing, it is completely crazy. I've seen some pictures and I thought, there's no way that thing is going to look that cool in person, but guess what, guys? It's even better in person. This thing is awesome. I hope that he can reproduce this thing, but there are tons of amazing animals at this show, so we're going to tool around, we're going to check it out. I hope you guys are going to enjoy it. It's going to be an awesome day. My name is Brian Barczyk. I'm no zoologist, just a guy with a passion for animals, and that passion often takes me on animal adventures around the world. So guys, there is an absolute ton to see here at the reptile show. So I figured the best way to conquer this is to hook up with my friend, Amanda Sargent. You guys have probably seen her on Instagram and all over the place. She's a true animal lover. So we're gonna team up, split up a little bit. She's gonna go check out some things. I'm gonna check out some things. But to start off, what do we have here? We have a couple olive pythons. So what do you think?
They're so amazing. And I haven't worked with this species in particular a whole lot, but I've heard that this particular species is usually not the friendliest snake. So the cool thing about these captive bred guys is that they are super friendly. They've been worked with since they hatched, and they're just a magnificent snake. These guys are not full grown by any means either. They get pretty big. Do you know exactly how big this species gets?
You know, I've seen them down in Australia that have been close to 10 foot in length, but typically about 8 foot is their max. And of course, I've had some run-ins with them down in Australia as well. But fortunately, these guys are really docile and super great animals. These are egg layers, of course, and they'll have litters or clutches that can be 8 to 12 eggs, believe it or not. And of course, the albinos have started to become a little more popular now and are gorgeous animals. But thankfully, this is probably one of the first times I've held an olive python and not been bitten. But
I love you. Look at that. You're stealing all my pythons.
So what do you think, Amanda? You go that way, I go this way.
Sounds
we'll meet back up in a couple hours. So guys, it's going to be a fun show.
Absolutely. Got to come home with me. I can't leave without this. It's amazing.
All right, I'm going to ball python geek out on you guys for a minute. I'm at Tallgrass Reptiles, and I love the orange-green ball pythons. Little feisty little guy here, and this happens to be a pastel calico orange dream. Now the calico gene gives it that really high white look, and of course the orange dream really cleans it up and makes it really bright, and that pastel gene of course is co-dominant, and this guy is feisty. Look at this little guy here, but what a beautiful animal. Just look at the size of that sucker. And again, a lot of times I don't showcase as many ball pythons at the Tinley show, but when I see some stuff that I really like, I have to check it out. This happens to be a pastel genetic stripe orange dream. Again, we talked about that orange dream really cleaning things up, the pastel gene being co-dominant, and of course the genetic stripe is a recessive mutation. And what's interesting about the genetic stripe is not always do they have a really great stripe. You can see this guy is all broken up in kind of wacky pattern, which makes it kind of cool, but those three genes together, pretty awesome. Another one that you don't really see too often, which is really cool here, happens to be a pastel axanthic orange dream. Now, the axanthics oftentimes when they get older kind of brown out a little bit. So when you put that orange dream in it, it kind of cleans it up. This animal at probably 400 grams is still amazing looking. So some cool ball pythons I've got to at least show you guys every now and then. Even though I try to stay away from them at reptile shows, these guys are pretty awesome.
Okay guys, I am a huge turtle nut. I am just obsessed with everything with a shell. And this is a baby Aldabra Tortoise. Actually, this guy's about 2 years old. And as you can see, he's nothing too special right now. He kind of looks like your average pet tortoise, but you would definitely want to do your research before investing in one of these amazing tortoises, because these guys can get well over 500 pounds. They can live upwards of 200 years. In my opinion, this is the largest species of tortoise in the world. Galapagos tortoises, which you might be a little bit more familiar with, get just about the same size. These guys are only found on the Aldabra Atolls, which are a really remote area And they're doing really well in terms of captive breeding, which is great because turtles and tortoises are definitely one of those animals that are kind of at risk of extinction because they live so long. And even though they have a lot of babies at a time, maybe they'll lay a couple hundred eggs, it takes them so long to get to full maturity. So again, this guy's about 2 years old. Sometimes you're breeding snakes at 2 years old. This guy is not even close to being as big as he's gonna be. So it's pretty amazing that they take so long to grow. And as a result, that hard shell will protect them for most of their life. They'll live a really long life. And they really need our help because they are slow to reproduce. But these guys are doing really well in captive breeding programs. You can see them at zoos all across the world. And this guy is definitely in for a long and happy life. And I'm absolutely freaking out over him.
Every Tinley Park show, there's one booth that is a must-see booth that I go to every single time. And of course, that's BHB Reptiles. These guys just kill me, not only with their incredible boa constrictors, but also ball pythons. But the boas usually are the ones that just absolutely smoke me. And this one really caught my eye. This is actually a Hypo Leopard Boa. It's also poshet for sun globe, but the point is that the leopard boas are pretty polymorphic in the sense that sometimes you can have lots of dotting, some patterning issues, some striping, and of course when you add the hypo into it, it really changes it a lot too. To me, when I first saw this, I had no idea what kind of boa it even was, because I would have never guessed that it was just a Hypo Leopard Boa, but it is, guys, and this thing is absolutely stunning. The thing that's cool about the leopard boas and really the Hypo boas are that the original stock are from kind of a smaller locality or smaller animal locality. So typically these animals aren't going to get much larger than maybe 5, 6 foot, very much max. Of course, a lot of the Hypos have been bred back into Colombians now and have gotten much larger gene, but this line here stays really small, which makes them kind of an apartment-sized boa and awesome, awesome animals.
This is one of the rarest arboreal alligator lizards in the world. There's only a handful of these in the United States. They're from Guatemala. They call them Abronius, and these guys are absolutely amazing. So beautiful. I just love that overlapping, imbricating scales, that beautiful head. I'm just freaking out about having the opportunity to hang out with such a rare specimen. Thankfully, there are some breeding programs here in the United States for these guys, and so hopefully we'll be seeing more of them as they become more available. But this is an amazing and super, super tame animal. He's really docile, very calm, and absolutely beautiful.
Guys, I am absolutely geeking out on this snake. This thing is absolutely incredible. This happens to be a 3/4 diamond carpet python and a 1/4 jungle carpet bred to a green tree python. That's right, so it's a hybrid green tree python, diamond python, jungle carpet python. I used to have something that I called Pedro the Carpandro, and that's basically what these are. And again, they're carpet python crossed into green trees. But again, the fact that this is a 3/4 diamond makes it that really bright, brilliant color. I tell you, that's really cool. And one of the things that's interesting about Carpandros is a lot of times they're not fertile, so you get a lot of infertility when you breed them. But this guy here is actually fathered clutches. That makes it even more interesting to me, the fact that a hybrid like this is actually fertile, and he's a little bit squirrely for sure, but it's a neat animal, and what a gorgeous snake it is. I think if I handle it much longer, I'm going to get a pop in the face, so I better put this guy back, but I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I have.
All right, so I'm here with another turtle, geeking out yet again because this is one of my favorite species. You might recognize them because there's no turtle in the world quite like the Matamata. Matamatas are from the Amazon and from South America, and so they actually look exactly like a big almond leaf that you would find floating around in the Amazon River. And as a result, they blend right in, and then they don't really have the strongest jaws, but what they do instead, they have the longest neck, not quite of any turtle, but certainly very long, and they'll just stretch that neck out and gulp up, slurp up fish, and they just kind of slurp them right up into that cute little mouth they've got. Now you might notice that he's got quite a long nose. He kind of looks like Pinocchio. That's a little snorkel that he uses to kind of just gulp up some air so he doesn't have to go all the way to the surface. And if you see one of these guys outstretch their neck, all they have to do again is just touch the tip of their nose to the surface of the water, and they can stay at the bottom, blending in with those leaves. And they don't really have to swim to the top like an average turtle. Matamatas themselves seem to be doing pretty well in human care. There's a lot of them available in the trade. The Amazon rainforest is a place we always want to think about protecting, just by learning what we can do to, reduce deforestation and really protect that environment, because it's so important. Certainly animals like the Matamata are not found anywhere else in the world. So we want to make sure that we're always protecting that area and learning as much as we can about it, and learning about more reasons to love it, like this amazing turtle here, one of my favorites.
So I'm at my buddy Rob Zirkle and Amy Zirkle's table, and they always have these really cool colubrid snakes, things that are just awesome. And of course, I love beauty snakes, and this guy is really, truly spectacular. This is a blue beauty snake, or a Tinniaris calicianus. And these guys are actually almost looking axanthic-y when you look at them compared to, say, a Chinese beauty. But believe it or not, it's an actual subspecies and a locality that comes out this silvery and blue. And you can certainly see that these guys are unbelievably long and slender snakes. I mean, it's just crazy to see how these things climb trees. And you can see right now when he's kind of essing up, these guys will actually puff their throat out. Not quite like a cobra, but that same thing. And that's their defense mechanism. And of course, that makes them look big. And you can see he's just barely cracking his mouth right now, And this guy is gonna go at anyone that comes close. Whoop, gotta just get him away from the kids. I don't mind getting bit, but I don't want any kids walking by get bit. Wow, what an amazing snake. And just to think a colubrid, like some of these beauty snakes that can get 7, 8 foot long, especially the Freesii, which are the largest of the Tinniaris. This guy, look at the jet black eyes. Whew, this thing is awesome. And some of these guys will actually keep their tongues out a long time as well. They're just such an unusual snake. It has so much personality. This is a cool animal, but certainly not one that you want to get bit in the face for. But there it is, guys, the Tinniaris calicianus.
I am hyperventilating right now. This is absolutely one of my dream animals to work with. First time ever holding one and seeing one. This is called a Borneo earless monitor. They're not actual monitor lizards. They're in their own family, and they're kind of the transitional species in between like the helodermatid lizards, like beaded lizards and Gila monsters, and monitor lizards. So they kind of bridge that gap, and they're closely related to both. But again, they are really their own thing. There's nothing in the world quite like them. They are exceptionally rare. And right now, we have some pretty exceptional breeders in the United States and other places that are working with this species. I believe that they just started being able to breed them in a few other countries. So these guys are absolutely amazing, and they are also endangered species. So it's incredibly important to really know what you're working with, and to understand that this is one of the most incredible creatures that you are ever going to see, because they are so rare, but also that it is important for people to be working with this species, just making sure that they're doing it responsibly and trying to figure out a good way to care for this species and breed them in human care so that they never disappear.
Another colubrid snake that you rarely see, especially at a reptile show, would be these guys here, the 100-flower rat snakes, or Moellendorffi. They're just a really unusual colubrid because they get really long, they're a relatively slender animal, and the thing that I think makes them so incredible is the fact that they almost look like 3 different snakes. You've got this really beautiful red-orange head pattern, then you've got this green pattern down here, and then look at this, it goes back into red on the tail. These guys are cool. Now, what's interesting about these guys, believe it or not, it takes about 5 or 6 years for them to reach size to be able to be reproductive. Now, most colubrids you can breed at 18 months, maybe 2.5 years old at the most, but Moellendorffi, for some reason, take a really long time. And a female this size is probably only going to lay about 3, maybe 4 eggs. They're going to be about that long. So when the babies hatch out, they're really big. They often want to eat lizards, so it's a little hard to transfer them over to rodents. But once they get going, they make amazingly cool animals, and they do really well in captivity if you get captive bred animals. But again, this is an exercise in patience, guys, because it's going to take 5 or 6 years before they're going to breed, and then you're only going to produce about 3 or 4 babies. They're not worth all that much money. So again, owning these guys is all about passion and not about investment. And I happen to have a few of these myself, so I love them to death. All right, guys, so I was messing with some olive pythons earlier today, and you guys know the whole gig, right? I usually mess with olive pythons and I get bit. So let's go ahead and take a look at an albino olive python to kind of give you an idea what the difference is. So albino olives are obviously a recessive mutation, and the original line was a little bit weak. And what I mean by that is that some of them came out with some kinking issues, sometimes fertility, but as they've been being outbred, they're starting to get better and better. And the albinos are really gorgeous. I mean, it almost looks like a big banana, you know? I mean, it's just a really cool animal. And again, you know, olive pythons are kind of that animal that if you want a big animal, but you don't want a Burmese python or a reticulated python, this is an absolutely perfect alternative to them. And typically, like I said, you can see these guys are actually pretty docile and pretty good animals, even for me, which is unusual because usually I'm getting bit by them. But as you can see, guys, no bites today. Sorry about that. So we're going to end the show here at my buddy Brad's that has some of the coolest water monitors in the world. And this guy knows so much about them, breeds beautifully tame ones that are not only beautiful, but just great animals. And they definitely give you a run for the money every now and then. So Amanda, tell me first, how did the show go for you?
I found some really cool stuff. I definitely saw some animals that I've read about, that I've heard about, that I've seen in pictures, and have never gotten the chance to hold in my life. So that was pretty exciting. These guys are a little bit more of a familiar sight to me. I absolutely love monitors, and so this has been a great day for me. How about you, Brian?
Oh my gosh, it was so cool. I mean, I geeked out on some snakes, of course, but it's always cool to kind of end with monitor lizards, and this guy is just, he's so inquisitive, so awesome. He's 2 years old now, and of course this one is just going to grow up to be like him not too much longer, but this has just been a great day. I hope you guys have enjoyed it as much as me and Amanda have, and of course, Amanda, tell everyone where they can find you.
I'm on Instagram. If you look me up, I'm the Amanda Files, and I got Facebook, Amanda Sargent, and so I share my adventures with all the animals I love on there. So make sure you come on out and find me and join me in my adventures.
Exactly, and I'm always Facebooking and tweeting my way through things, so you guys can follow me over at SnakeBytesTV and on Instagram at SnakeBytes.tv. Until next week, you've been watching Snake Bites.
Hi, I'm Peter Birch, an Aussie bloke who loves wildlife. My respect for nature started when I was a young boy in rural New South Wales. Since then, it's exploded into an obsession. New episodes every Thursday, only on AnimalBytesTV.
So,
Brian juggling a baby and a
yeah, I got him.
Just watch
know all about that.
Yeah.
babies.
Oh yeah, he wants to get right up on your head.
That's fine. Oop. Oop. Hang on a second.
I'm just leaving it roll for whenever it works.
Bloopers.
In the face.
Try that again. Yeah, try them again. All right, cool. Ready?